Hi, this is Troxel. In today's tutorial we're going to learn about changing the speed of an event in Vegas. There are a couple of different ways that we can change the speed. One is by using the playback rate and the other is by using the velocity envelope. We're going to look at both of those today. So let's take a look and see how both of these work. First of all, let's look at the playback rate. To change the playback rate, just right-click the event on the timeline and choose Properties. There you can see that the playback rate by default is set to 1. We can move this up or down to speed it up or slow it down. So for example, to slow it down, we can put in a smaller number than 1 and that will make it play slower. If we put in a bigger number, then that will speed it up. The range for the playback rate is 0.25 through 4. So we can make it as slow as 1/4 or as fast as 4 times. So for example, if I put in a 2 in here, now this is going to play back at twice as fast as it did before. There is an easier way to change the playback rate. So for example, suppose you have a small hole. This event is currently 20 seconds long. Let's say we wanted it to be 25 seconds long. We can hold down the control key and just stretch it out to that length, and that will automatically change the playback rate. You can see that the playback rate has been changed by looking at this little squiggly line in between the different frames here shown on the event on the timeline. So if we right click this and choose Properties, we can see that the playback rate is now 0.802. Because we slowed it down, it's less than 1. So let's see how we can do that in a script. Let's go back to the previous script that we've been using for weeks and weeks and weeks previous to talking about custom commands. In this case, all this is the default stuff that we've been using week after week after week. And now I am just going to get the first video event, which I am looking at the first event, which is events 0 on tracks 0. So I just want the first event on the first track. Since I only have one event in the project, that's the easiest way to get it, and that will prevent me from having to go through and search for events and whatnot. We do have to make sure it's a video event. So we say that this is a video event instead of a track event, and we convert it to a video event just by putting video event in parentheses in front of this. To change the playback rate, all we have to do is do the video event dot playback rate, and then we can set it to whatever value we want it to. So if I set it at 0.25 here, let's save this, we'll run the script. And now our event on the time moment will play back at 1/4 of the original speed. And if we right click it and choose Properties, we will see it is set to 0.25. Let's undo this. Now let's go back to our script and let's change this to a 4 so that it'll play back 4 times as fast. So we'll save this, run the script again. And now it is set to 4 times normal speed. See how tight the little squiggly line is? And if we right click this, we will see that the property said it is set to 4. The other option we have is to actually use a velocity envelope. A velocity envelope is more flexible, but it doesn't work with audio. The playback rate works with audio, so if you do a control drag to change the speed, it will also affect the audio. If we change the velocity envelope, the audio will stay at the original speed. So, which one do you use? Well, it kind of depends on your need. If you need the audio to follow, then I would use the control drag. If you need the speed to change dynamically, then you're going to have to use the velocity envelope. So let's take a look at how the velocity envelope works. To use the velocity envelope, we can right click the event and choose Insert Remove Envelope and choose Velocity. Now we will see a green line here. It is set to 100%. We can add new points to this line and change them to whatever value we wish. The range goes all the way from 1000%, which is 10 times normal speed, all the way down to 0, and then keep on going, and it will go all the way down to minus 100%, which is backwards, 100% backwards. So if we add a new point, and we can have several options here that are defaults that we can just choose. For example, if we tell it to set to 0%, now all of a sudden we have a freeze frame. So as that is playing along, you notice it is not moving because we have it set to 0%. Let's return this back to normal and see how we can do that using a script. To do this with a script, first of all, we have to add the velocity envelope to the event. Now we should probably check to see if the event already has a velocity envelope, and if it does, we just get that velocity envelope. In this case, I know it does not, so I'm going to create a new velocity envelope. So we will use this line right here to create a new envelope of type, envelope type dot velocity, and we're going to put it in the variable VELENV, velocity envelope. And then we will take that velocity envelope and add it to our video event. Next, I want to add a bunch of points. The first point I'm going to add is with a value of 3. So it's going to be this velocity envelope. I'm going to add it at this time code, which is the beginning of the clip, time code 0. And then the value of 3 is actually going to be 300%. So it's going to be 3 times normal speed. The next one I'm going to add at the 1 second mark, and I'm going to drop the velocity down to 0%. 0% means freeze frame. So for the next second, I'm going to add a second one at the 2 second mark, also at 0. So between 1 second and 2 seconds, it's going to be a freeze frame. Then between 2 seconds and 3 seconds, I'm going to take it to 100% backwards. It's going to run in reverse. Between 3 seconds and 6 seconds, I'm going to change it from 100% reverse to 100% forward. So normal speed going forward. And then at the 9 second mark, it's going to go all the way up to 10 times normal speed, which is the 1000%. But this isn't a command in Vegas. This is a routine that I wrote. So let's look at that routine. The add velocity point, we're passing it 3 pieces of information. The envelope that we want to use, the time code where we want the new point to be, and then the value for that new point. So if we scroll down here, we will see we have the add velocity point routine. We're passing it an envelope, we're passing it a time code, and we're passing it the speed that we want it to be, or the value. In this case, I am going to look to see if the point already exists. So first of all, let's create an envelope point called A, and we will get the velocity envelope, look at the points, and we're going to get the point at this location. If the point did not exist, it's going to be null. So if it does not exist, then we need to create a new envelope point at that location with that speed. And then we will add that point to the velocity envelope. Otherwise, the point already exists. So all we need to do is change the speed parameter, which is the y, a dot y. If we look at the a and we press dot, we will see what we have available to change. We have an x, which is the position, the y, which is the speed, and then we have some other things we could change, like the curve, if we wanted to change the curve type. So we want to change the dot y to the new speed. So essentially the point already exists, we're just giving it a new value. So let's see how this works. You can see that our new envelope is added. We start here at 300%, then we're dropping it down to 0%, which is freeze frame. Continuing over for the next second at 0%. Then we're going down to negative 100%, which is full speed reverse. Then we're going up to 100%, which is full speed forward. And then we're taking it up to 1000%, which is our value of 10. And so when we play this back, we can see it comes down, stops there, goes backward, and then starts going forward again, and then goes really fast forward. So as you can see, there are multiple ways that we can change speeds in Vegas. Which one you use depends on the needs that you have for any given time, but both of them are available to the scripting engine, so we can change either one of them using a script. So this makes it very easy for us to do this type of thing with scripting, and I hope that you can make use of this in your future scripts. Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.